Hi everyone, welcome back to Cottoverdi. My name's Annette and today we're going to be applying nematodes to our garden, to the entire garden, to combat this slug problem that we have. Now nematodes will tackle some snails as well, but only the snails that live in the ground, because the nematodes work in the ground and snails tend to live on top of the soil apparently. Now nematodes are little caterpillary things. They're microscopic, I mean tiny, and they enter the slugs through their orifices or just through their skin, I guess, and then they poison the slug from the inside and kill the slugs, and then they'll multiply in that dead body and start the whole life cycle again. So they are a natural way to combat a slug problem in your gardens, and it may sound cruel, but these nematodes live in our garden soil anyway. We're just increasing the population temporarily. Now, when you apply nematodes, apparently the treatment lasts about 6 weeks. We tend to do this at least once every year. We've only very occasionally done a second application, but I really do find that if we do this properly, that actually it really does solve a lot of our slug problems when our plants are really young, and then towards the end of the season, like in 6 weeks time, less of our plants will be young and tender and therefore attacked by slugs. So even though they do recommend repeating the treatment, we don't tend to do that. I think we've only done it once 1 year. In the past, what we've done is we have followed the very basic instructions where you use a watering can and lug that around the garden and water the nematodes in using the watering can. But you can actually do this with a garden hose as well. And so we've treated ourselves this year to the garden hose applicator, which is fairly inexpensive, and we're going to use that method in addition. So we are going to show you how to do it using the bucket and watering can method, and then I'll show you how easy it is to do it with the applicator, and I will link it in the description below. This is not an ad or an affiliate or anything like that. This is just what we use, but if you're interested in what we're using, I'll put them in the description below so you can take a look and buy some yourself if you want some nematodes or an applicator. Once we've applied the nematodes, I do have a couple of other little jobs that I want to do. I want to tackle the problem we have in our garden where the birds are trying to grab my young grasses and use it as nesting material. So I'm just going to protect those grasses, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. And then I'm also going to put in a couple of plant supports, because I do find at this time of year it's really good to get your plant supports in just as certain plants are coming into growth. And there's one in particular that flops every year if I don't get the plant support in right when I need to, which is right now. So what we have to do with the bucket and watering can method is we have to put 10 litres of water into this bucket, then tip in the contents of this packet. So this is for the 100 square metre packet of nematodes. Tip it in and stir it around. So we're just measuring out the 10 litres by using a watering can. And then this is a stock solution which we then dilute into the watering can. It's not as complicated as it sounds. So you tip the whole thing in. Don't want to leave any nematodes behind. So then, depending on the size of your watering can, so we want half a litre of the stock solution to 4.5 litres of water, but we've got a 10 litre watering can, so we're going to do 1 litre of the stock solution to 9 litres of water in the watering can. And then just water it on wherever you want it. One thing to bear in mind when we're using the nematodes, doing the nematode treatment, is that it's important, if it's not going to rain in the near future, that once you've applied the nematodes, that they get watered in, because they do need to be in the soil and be kept moist. Now we are going to have some rain in the near future, and it poured with rain all day yesterday, so I'll probably give them a light sprinkle afterwards, but it does recommend on the instructions to water them in. Also, if you've got a very dense ground cover and you're not able to actually get the nematode liquid onto the soil, then you'll need to water your plants afterwards, just to wash it down into the ground underneath. So it says if we're using a feeder that we should tip half the contents of the pack into the feeder. So I'm just going to do that now. It's easier said than done, to be honest with you. That's about half. To fill the bowl with water. And then mix it thoroughly until it's fully dispersed. And then it says to hold this in an upright position and apply this to 50 square meters, because my box covers 100 square meters, so I use half the pack to cover half of it. So I'm going to apply it to 50 square meters. It should take about 8 minutes, and it says to use the bit that says flat on it, because this applicator can turn around. It's got different nozzles, but we're using the flat one. And obviously I want it to go to feed and water because I need it to mix with the ingredients that are in here. So the arrow needs to point to feed and water. There's probably quite a lot of footage of Cosmo getting in the way of the spray of the nematodes, and I just want to reassure everybody that because nematodes are a natural substance, a natural living thing, that they're not dangerous to pets and they're not dangerous to vegetables. If you wanted to treat your vegetable plot, then that's absolutely fine too. You just have to wash your fruit and veg in exactly the same way that you would normally wash your fruit and veg. So it's completely safe, and I'm not at all worried about Cosmo getting splattered. I mean, obviously it's a pain because we'll have to clean him up afterwards, just because he'll get really muddy and mucky, but he loves running water, and anything coming out of a watering can he seems to find really fascinating. So I'm not surprised that he's chasing the stream and fascinated by what's going on today, but it is not dangerous for pets or children. It is possible to treat your grass, but I'm not treating the grass because that involves watering it in. I just think it's a waste. I'm just going to treat our borders. It's just too large an area to figure out treating the grass, but obviously if you've got a smaller garden, you can treat the grass and then water it in afterwards so that the nematodes get down to the soil and don't just sit on the grass. Equally, if it's a really hot sunny day, you'd need to water the nematodes in because they wouldn't appreciate sitting in the sun. They just want to get down into the soil. That's where they're going to be best placed. It's where they live. I have to say I'm really pleased that we got this feeder because it is so much simpler to do the treatment using the feeder than using the watering can. It's not necessary. We have done it for years using the watering can method. So don't feel that you have to indulge in this. The nematodes are not inexpensive. I feel like they're a little bit of an investment, but we spend a lot of time planting our plants and tending to our plants, and if you have a snail and snail problem, particularly the slug problem, like we do, then I think it's a worthwhile investment. As I've said, this isn't an advert. I'm not paid for this at all. I've bought my own nematodes. So, don't feel like I'm selling you something that I've been paid to advertise. I haven't. It's actually really relaxing. I'm not finding this onerous at all. So the other thing that I've done is I have put some of these plant supports on top of the grasses. I don't know if that's going to work, but I'm kind of trying to distract the birds from yanking the grasses out, which is what they've been doing. I think they want to use it for nesting material. That seems to be the general consensus. And I thought if I just put the plant supports that I'm not using at the moment on top of the grass, that might deter them. Or it might make it more difficult for them to actually yank the grasses out. We'll see. I don't want to use chicken wire particularly, so this was my thought process here. The other thing that I need to support today before it's too late, it's almost too late already, is a Telema grandiflora. I think that's also called a fringe cup or fringe cups. And it's absolutely beautiful. It always comes out in spring and it's just so fast to bloom that I'm never ready for it. And then the gorgeous fringe cups just fall over. So they've got this tiny, tiny little yellow flowers, and they're on really long stems, and I guess because mine's in a shady area in this border behind me, which is, it's very suited to, actually what happens is it's probably stretching for the light, and they always just fall over on the patio, and so they don't last very long. So I really want to try to support it this year, and I found something that might work. It's slightly rusted, but that's fine. But I'm really hoping that because I'm just a little bit late to put the support in, I'm not going to squash anything. I can get this support in, and then hopefully my flowers won't flop this year. Well, I think that'll work. Hopefully it's not going to be too obvious that I've supported it, although as I said, I'm a bit late. If I'd done it a little bit sooner, the support could have been something lower and then the foliage would cover it, but hopefully it will grow a little bit more and disguise the support, and then I'll have flowers that last longer. I really hope you've enjoyed this video today and found it interesting and useful. If you wanted to apply nematodes to your garden, I hope I've given you all the information that you need. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and as I said, I will link what I'm using in the comments below, but it is not an ad in any way. If you use my Amazon link, I'll get a tiny minuscule amount of commission, but I'm not encouraging you to do that. I just want to show you what I was using. If you've enjoyed the video, please do give it a like. It really does help me. And if you'd like to subscribe and see more videos like this and more kittens, then hit the subscribe button. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.